Hi, everyone. I'm just going to give us a few moments and just give everybody a couple moments to get joined, get settled. So happy to have you here with us today. So yeah, like I said, I'm just going to give everybody a few moments so we can go ahead and get everybody joined, and then we'll go ahead and get started here shortly. So happy to have you all here with me today. Yeah, so excited. This is one of my favorite sessions. So we are obviously doing a special back to school session today. I absolutely love this webinar. I love seeing all the use cases that come out of it. So very excited to be able to offer this special session for you all. Just like I said, just going to give everybody a few more moments here. So it is a nice sunny and warm day here in North Carolina. Hopefully you're having some good weather wherever you're joining us from. But yeah, we'll get started here shortly. Alrighty, I think we probably have about everybody joined, so we'll go ahead and jump in. I've got a lot of exciting material for you, so yeah, let's go ahead and jump in and we'll get started. So my awesome teammate Chibi will be here helping me monitor the chat today, so feel free to jump in and say hi to him. But with that, let's go ahead and get started. So my name is Sarah, and I am the product marketing specialist here at Poll Everywhere. And I will be your webinar host today. So a large part of my role here is working to help our users create their most engaging presentations, and what better tool to do that with than with Poll Everywhere. So like I said, we are right at the start of back to school season, and as such, we did want to hold a special webinar session just for our education customers. So if you were joining us today, you probably have some classes coming up. Now, in today's world, maybe those are remote, maybe they're in person or hybrid. Wherever they're being held, Poll Everywhere is here to help you with that. So now is the perfect time to be joining us, whether you're a longtime Poll Everywhere super user or maybe you're just getting started and you want to know how it all works. So when giving a lecture, how can you know if your students are really paying attention or not? Maybe they have switched to another tab on their laptop, or maybe they're checking notifications on their phone, or who knows, maybe they actually have a question or a piece of feedback that could spark major change in the class discussion. Well, Poll Everywhere helps foster an inclusive classroom environment by allowing all student voices to be heard. The goal of today's session is going to be to show you around Poll Everywhere, introduce you to some of the different activity types that we have available to you, and share some advice so that you can get the most out of your teaching experience. So we are also going to talk about some of the different use cases that we have for the classroom. So with that, before we jump into some background information on us, I do want to talk about how today's session is especially exciting because it is being presented with our new visual activity designs. So this was part of an ongoing initiative, and we are so excited to finally be able to share these with you all. So what can you expect with these new designs? Well, first and foremost, if you have used Poll Everywhere before, the first thing you will notice is we do have QR codes at the top of our activity slides. Yes, you heard me right. We have QR codes now. So this has been a long requested item, and now it's finally here. So every activity will now by default have a joining QR code at the top, so it's easier for your students to join and answer your polls. I also want to mention a few accessibility updates that we have made as well with this new change. So the most noteworthy change in terms of accessibility is that with clickable image activities, we now have correctness showing as check marks and X's, no longer solely relying on the color of the pen markers in order to indicate correctness. So I know that's especially exciting for all of our educators here today. So it is important for me to note as well, all of these changes are visual. If you've used Poll Everywhere in the past, no worries, all of the main functionalities are still there. Now they will just look cleaner and more modern. So I'm very excited to have these new visual designs available to you all. They are available today, so I definitely encourage you all to dive in and check them out after today's session. So with that, let's go ahead and dive into a little bit of background information on Poll Everywhere. So even though we were founded in San Francisco as of last year, we are an entirely remotely distributed team. Poll Everywhere was founded in 2008 and has been continuously since then self-funded. At least 500,000 educators and 75% of Fortune 500 companies have used Poll Everywhere to enhance their presentations and engage audiences. So since then, to say that we have grown is quite an understatement. Helping presenters get the most out of their presentation is our goal. So I hope you are as excited as I am for what is still to come. So with that, let's go ahead and talk about our agenda for today. So we are going to be covering the basics, which will be creating activities, customizing them to fit your unique presentation goals, inserting them into your slide decks, and collecting responses. So we will also be taking some time at the end to go over some resources that we have available to you all and answer any questions that you might have. At the end, we will be holding an interactive Q&A session to go over those questions, and I will give you some instructions on how to be able to drop those questions in for that Q&A. So throughout this session, I'll be demoing some activities that you all can actually participate in. So to do that, just do me a favor and go ahead and head over to polev.com/webinar. And there you're going to be able to see your responses in action during today's session. This is also going to be a great way to kind of get a taste of what your students will see during your own Pole Everywhere presentations. Now, today's session will also be recorded, and after it's over, we will be sharing a link to the recording along with some helpful resources. Most likely that email will probably be coming through tomorrow, so don't worry if you don't see that come through today. But as I mentioned, we will be doing a Q&A at the end of today's session, and I do want to encourage you all to drop any questions that you might have in the pinned Q&A. When you go to this polev.com/webinar, you will see on a second tab there, and that is our Q&A. It should say any questions. If at any point you have any questions that come up, feel free to go ahead and drop those in that Q&A. And like I said, we'll go over those at the end. And I'll talk about pinned Q&A too, because I especially think those are helpful for the education use case. So I will let you all know how to create those for yourself too. I think that is just a great resource that we have. So that was a lot of information. Let's go ahead and dive into a warm-up activity. I would love to know, in one word, how are you planning on using Pole Everywhere in the classroom? And again, to answer this, you are going to go to polev.com/webinar, and there you should be able to input your responses. So I'll give everybody a couple moments here. So just go to polev.com/webinar. And there you should be able to answer this question. In one word, how are you planning on using Pole Everywhere? All right, I'm seeing engagement, definitely a quiz, absolutely. Yeah, sure. Wow, we're getting a lot of responses and it's awesome. Yeah, thank you all for engaging with this. And I'll talk about this a little bit more too. So this is called a word cloud activity. And you might be wondering, why did she start that question with in one word? So the reason I did that is that's typically how we recommend that participants input responses is one word responses. Just because, as you can see here, it does look a little bit cleaner when you have just one word. Now, there are some workarounds for this. If you absolutely have to have your students put in multiple word responses, you can have them put a either underscore or a dash in between the two words, and that should help too. And part of this new visual activity design that I just talked about, this is something that I was really excited about. So all of our responses are now in horizontal view, so it definitely makes it a lot easier for you to see. This is great. Yeah, so as you can see, all the responses are coming in now. I don't think I see any at the moment, but if let's say that somebody put in engagement a second time. So if that were to happen, then that would grow in size. So as you get multiple same word responses, actually, I think it just happened there. Yes, somebody put PD. I'm not really sure what that stands for, but thank you for helping me exemplify that. So when you put in the same responses, there we go, there's engagement. So once you get the same word responses submitted, it grows in size. So that kind of just shows you the popularity of that response. So it's really cool how it's interactive and just really fun. It changes colors too. Really love this activity. This is a great warm-up activity. We'll definitely dive further into this and how to make one for yourself. But I think this is just a great, like I said, warm-up activity, and wanted to give you all an idea of how Pole Everywhere works from the participant view. All right, perfect. Well, I think that's probably about all the responses we're going to get for this question. So with that, I am going to jump over to our account view. So let's go ahead and dive over there. And I'm actually going to jump over to my home dashboard really quick. And reason I'm doing this is I do want you all to see kind of what will you see when you first log into Pole Everywhere. So now, when you first log into your Pole Everywhere account, you will be brought here. This is your home dashboard. So when you're here, there's something very important I want to point out. So you'll see here, it says activity of response URL. So all of you, when you log into your own Pole Everywhere account, will see that as well. So that's how you all already answered my activity, as you typed in polev.com/webinar. all of you all will have your own URL for your students to be able to enter in as well. Now, depending on your plan, you can customize the URL, but just check your plan to see if that is an option. But otherwise, you will always have this option, or excuse me, always have this custom URL just for you, and it makes it very easy for your students to jump in and answer your questions. So with that, just wanted to point that out on the home dashboard. I think it's just, yeah, definitely important to point out for when you're first starting out. But let's jump over to our activities dashboard real quick. And I'm going to get there by clicking on this little icon with the bar columns here. So this is the activities dashboard. Now, this is where the magic happens. So this is where you can create, organize, and arrange your activities in whichever way makes most sense to you. So this experience is totally customizable. Now, we do have a folder option, or when you create activities, they will just pop up in singular here. So I have created, or excuse me, have left both of these views available for you to see here. So you can have all of your activities organized in folders here, or you can also leave your view totally unstructured. It's completely up to you. I will say personally, I prefer organizing activities in folders. I just think it's a little bit easier to find them. But again, this is customizable, is completely up to you how you want to organize your activities dashboard. So with that, I am going to jump into my webinars. So as you can see, I really like my folders. I got a lot of folders here. So I've already got an activity that we started there, and I've got my pinned Q&A here. But because I love my folder so much, let's go ahead and create a folder with today's date on it. So today is August 24th, 2023. Perfect. So I'm going to create my folder. There's my August folder. So I'm going to go ahead and move these two activities in there so I can keep everything organized. Get any questions in there too. All right, perfect. Now we're in my August 24th folder. So now that we are in this folder, when I go to click and create an activity, because I'm already clicked into this August 24th folder, all of the activities that I create are going to be in this folder. Now, when I showed you that view where it was a little unstructured, so you have your folders versus unstructured, if you were just to create an activity, it would just populate down here. But again, because I like my folders, I'm going to jump back in. All right, and let's go ahead and let's talk about the different activity types we have available. Now, I will go through all of these different activity types here, and we'll go through a little bit deeper dive and use cases. But first, one thing I like to do at the start of these sessions is I always like to know what activity types are you all most excited about learning? So I am going to go ahead and ask the question, what types of activities would you like to see in today's demo? I'm going to fix this little capitalization there. There we go. Perfect. All right, let's go ahead and input our different activity types that we have. Now, this is our multiple choice. This is probably our most popular poll type or activity type. So I will go into more deeper dive of all of our different activity types. But for now, I just, like I said, like to get I'd like to gauge the audience and understand what are you all most excited about. So let's go ahead and start there. So I'm going to keep adding my options. So I've posed my question and I'm just working on adding my different options here. So I'm adding all my different activity types. I've got ranking, clickable image, and I need another option. So I'm going to click that add option button. And then we've got open ended. Perfect. Now, because this is a back to school session, I want to go ahead and point out something. So you might be thinking, I know I saw a quiz on that first word cloud activity. So you can use multiple choice and use this as a quiz option. So you do have this correctness feature here. So if this were a pop quiz that you were posing to your students and you needed to indicate a correct answer, all you need to do that is to click into this checkbox and it will highlight green. So in this case, word cloud would be the correct answer. But because we don't have a correct right or wrong answer for this question, I am going to uncheck that. So there's no correct option indicated at the moment, but just know that that option is there for you. Also, another fun option we have is you can actually make your title or your question, you can make it an image. You can or you can also make your answer options images too. Sometimes that's fun just to kind of add another visual element. So just really cool option that we have there. If you accidentally add an additional option that you don't need, just click on this little trash bin icon and that will go away. It's very, very simple to navigate. And again, I did talk earlier about how we created this in that August 24 folder. So you'll see here that's indicated here. So I'm creating activities and it's all going to be nice and organized in that August folder. So let's go ahead and present this. Again, I will go through all of these different activity types, but for now, I kind of want to get an understanding of what activity types you all are most excited about. And I'm sure you just saw that brief view of our I can't speak today, so forgive me. That presenter view. We will go over that as well and all the controls in there. But again, just want to kind of get an understanding of what activity types y'all are most excited about. All right, I'll give everybody a couple more moments to respond here. And again, just go to that pollev.com/webinar to go ahead and submit your answers. All right, perfect. I'm seeing clickable image and ranking. Yeah, definitely. Ranking is a great one. I absolutely love that one. And clickable image is fun too. It always adds such a nice visual element. And I'll talk about this view here too. You might have seen this pop up a couple of times while I've been on these different activities. We'll go over all of that. No worries. Just want to get an understanding of what y'all are excited about. Which it looks like it's ranking, but I don't know. It keeps fighting with clickable image there. And also, folks, I do want to remind you too. So when you go to that pollev.com/webinar, if you go to that, you will see a second tab there. It says any questions. If any questions are coming up and you're not sure, definitely feel free to drop them in. I'll make sure to carve out some time at the end, and we will go over all those different questions. All right, perfect. I think we've got some just equal excitement for ranking clickable image here, and that's totally fine. We're gonna definitely go over all of these, but yeah, that's good to know that those are the two you all are most excited about. So we'll definitely make sure to spend some extra time on those. All right, perfect. I'm gonna jump back over to my activity creator tool now that I have a better understanding of what activity types y'all are looking most forward to. So I'm gonna jump back in here. So to create another activity, and remember, I'm still in my August 24th folder. To create an activity, I'm going to click on this button here. It says with the plus sign, it says activity. And now I'm back into my activity creator tool. So let's go ahead. We already went over multiple choice a little bit there, but let's talk about word cloud. So word cloud was that first activity type that you all did as a warm-up activity today. These are absolutely perfect for icebreakers, pulse checks, big picture questions. They really help reveal trends among the class. For the classroom, they are great warm-up activities too, just to kind of get those classroom discussions going. So one thing to note about word clouds, I've already kind of mentioned it, but they do work best when you phrase it as in one word, or just kind of recommend to your participants that they give one-word responses. It just helps make your word cloud look a lot cleaner. So I am going to do a fun question for my other word cloud here. So let's say in one word, what is your favorite color? Now, I know that might sound like a very basic question, but I promise you every time I have done this question in a webinar, I always learn new colors that I've never heard of. Obviously, for the classroom environment, you know, there's probably some more relevant questions, but again, just kind of want to do a fun question just to kind of give you all an idea of how to create your own word cloud and just give you an idea of how it will work best in the classroom. Now, so I'm in this activity creator tool. I am going to go through all these different activity types. One thing I want to note here, you do not have to jump back and forth between your activities dashboard and here in the activity creator tool. I'm in my August 24th folder. So if I need to create multiple activities in the same group, I can just go ahead and click this add another activity. And I'm still in that folder and I can still create additional activities. So just want to make sure I noted that you do not have to jump back and forth. If you know you have a set of activities that you want to go through, you can just do that, add another activity and kind of just toggle between the different types that you're looking for. Now, let's go ahead and talk about Q&A. So remember those situations that I mentioned in the beginning where you open up the floor for questions and you're just met with crickets. Well, nobody likes that situation, but don't worry, Polleveryware is here to rescue. So this is the perfect activity type to kind of help avoid those situations. So these are great for just posing broad questions like ask me anything, and you can just start watching the results pour in. So these are great too for follow-up to different lessons. You'll kind of see today how we're going to do our Q&A. If you want to round out your class sessions with the Q&A, you can have your students go ahead and submit questions throughout, and you can hopefully get them all answered in the end of the session. So again, we'll talk about that pinned Q&A too, but so many great use cases for Q&A. I absolutely love these two because they have an upvote and downvote option. So let's go ahead and do our example question here. So I would love to know, what are you most looking forward to this semester? Oops, there we go. Perfect. So yeah, well, that'll be our question for Q&A. Again, so the pinned Q&A, I do want to talk about that for a second, actually, and I will show you how to set those. So pinned Q&As are great because they actually can be left on at the end of a presentation. So if you're done with the class, you can leave that pinned Q&A up. And if you want to leave that space open for students to continue submitting questions, that is totally an option. So they do work both synchronously and asynchronously. Very, very cool option we have. Again, I don't want to jump back and forth too much. So I will show you all before the next session or next part of the session. I'll show you all how to set up a pinned Q&A, but for now, just wanted to kind of give you a quick overview of that. So let's go ahead and we're going to add another activity type. Let's go ahead and talk about clickable images. So clickable images, these are one of my favorite activity types just because of how customizable they are. So you'll see here that we do have some available templates to help get you started, but you can also upload your own image, which is very, very cool. Now, I have already prepared an image for us today. This is going to be a very simple image, but again, I just kind of want to give you all an understanding of how it works. So I'm going to ask you to please find the camouflaged animal in this activity. So now let's talk about some use cases with clickable image. I have seen some really cool use cases with clickable image. I've seen medical schools upload medical diagrams and ask their students in class to identify the correct portion of the diagram. There's all kinds of different things you can do with clickable image. It definitely helps just add that visual element and just changes up the presentation. So for this, I'm going to say find the camouflage animal. I am going to go ahead. Now, I could totally leave this unstructured. I could leave this view unstructured here, and you could have your students just click wherever on this image. But I'm going to create a region because there is a correct portion of this activity. So this is the camouflage animal here. So that's going to be the correct portion. So again, I wanted to make sure this was education use case focused today. So just want to note this here. So let's say this was a diagram. You wanted your students to identify the correct portion, and this is the correct portion that you're looking for them to click on. So as you can see there, I just clicked into the image and I can drag the box however I want. And then I have this little green check mark here, and that's going to indicate correctness. Again, you can totally leave this unstructured too, but if you're looking for that correctness option, you're going to want to create your regions here. So I'm just going to label this region as the fox. So that is my correct region. Now, if I wanted to create another region here, I just click anywhere in the box and I can drag and drop that. I don't need this region for today's purposes, but just wanted to kind of show you how that works. It's very easy to kind of drag and drop your regions and customize the image, make sure your students are getting the most out of this activity. All right, perfect. And we will actually present these too. We'll present these live. I just kind of wanted to walk you all through the activity creation process so you could get a view of that as well. So let's go ahead. We're going to add another activity. Now, unfortunately, I don't have enough time to go over surveys and competitions in the live demo today, just because they do take a good bit of time, and I want to make sure you will get the most out of today's session. But I will go ahead and give you a brief overview of both of these activity types. So surveys can be taken at any time, so they are perfect for follow-up questions after class. I've seen educators utilize surveys throughout the semester as an extra check to see how students are perceiving the class or how they're feeling, just kind of getting an understanding of how the class is going. These can be emailed out, so that's one great thing about them, another asynchronous option for you. So lots of great use cases with those, and you will get a little bit of a view of survey because in the follow-up email that I'll be sending, there will be a survey on today's session. I'd love to get your feedback on what you thought of today's webinar session. So that will help give you a little bit of a view of what surveys look like, at least from the participant view. Now let's talk about competitions. So competitions are a series of multiple choice activities with added elements like timers and leaderboards. And these are a great way to finish out sessions with a recap on what the class just learned. So you can get the students in some fun trivia on the class topic, just kind of change it up a little bit. And it's really cool. We have some fun confetti at the end when it announces the winner. Really love competitions. They're very interactive and very, very engaging. So great activity type, and I highly recommend checking them out. I will mention some resources at the end of today's session so you can get some detailed articles about both surveys and competitions. But again, unfortunately, they just take a little too much time to live demo. But with that, let's go ahead and jump into open-ended. So moving on to open-ended questions. Now, these work a lot like Q&A activities. However, they do not have the upvote or downvote features. So maybe you're running a brainstorming session with the class. Maybe you're looking to gauge student opinions on a specific topic that you are talking about in the lecture. You can use open-ended activities to kind of gather live feedback from your students. I've also seen instructors use it as like a group activity where they get all the students to just kind of enter in their opinions about about the topic, and then just kind of group up and talk about it. Lots of different use cases for open-ended. Absolutely love this for the education space. But for today's purpose, let's go ahead and ask, what does classroom engagement mean to you? Very excited to see the answers to that. I know we've got classes, like I said in the beginning, coming in person, hybrid, remote, so definitely excited to see the responses to that. So I am going to go ahead and add another activity, and let's go ahead and jump over to our ranking. So now you'll notice there, so we have all these activity types available here when you go into the activity creator tool, but you can also click on this more tab and you've got all these other options here. We got a lot of options for you to be able to customize your presentation, your classroom presentation. So definitely highly recommend jumping into these. There's some of them are very, very just fun and just different, but we're going to talk about ranking. I know you all said that you were excited about learning about rankings today. So with rankings, you can get a better idea of your students' preferences. You can enter in the prompt, enter the available options, and then see how your audience ranks each item. So let's do a fun question for rankings. I know we've got educators in the room today. I know you'll probably have some busy schedules. So if you're like me, one of the best things that keeps me going is a good cup of coffee. So I would love to know, what are your favorite beverages? All right, and let me go ahead and jump down here. I'm going to add my options. So we've got coffee, and I do mean hot coffee. In fact, I'll go ahead and put that just to make sure. We've got iced coffee, because let's be honest, that's its own category at this point. Definitely love both of those. Got hot tea, got iced tea. And I know it's still summer, but I know the cooler temperatures are coming, so let's put hot chocolate there too. So yeah, definitely excited to see how you all rank these items. Yeah, definitely looking forward to that. But yeah, we'll present this live too again. But as I said, I just wanted to go through each of these different activity types so you can kind of get an understanding of what it's like to set these up. Now you'll notice here too, so you still have that image option too. So if you actually wanted to pull images of all these beverages, you could totally do that and have your students rank them by the image. So I've seen people do that, very fun too. So lots of different options for you to customize your lecture. So I'm going to click create to make sure all these activities get created. And I'm going to jump back over to my activities dashboard, just to make sure we can go in order here. So what I'll do now is I am going to jump in and I'll talk about this view first. And we will go ahead, we'll present one or two, or actually probably about 3 of these activities, and then I'm going to jump over to PowerPoint. So we will go over the PowerPoint view as well. I know that's one of our more popular integrations. So just wanted to kind of give you a heads up of what's to come. But for now, let's go ahead and dive in. Let's talk about this view here. So, and I'll go back here just so you can see how I got here. So I'm in my activities dashboard. When I click into an activity, brings me here. So this is my presenter view. So here is, you've got all kinds of different options. This is where you're going to be able to customize the look and feel of your activity. You're going to be able to control who can respond. You've got all kinds of different options here. You've got timer. Depending on your plan, you might also have moderation options as well. But first, let me just go ahead and kind of go down the line for each setting that we have here. So first, when I talked about customizing the look and feel of your presentation, let's talk about the visual settings panel. So I was able to pull it up by clicking on this visual settings button here, and that pulls up this visual settings panel for me. So as you can see here, we've got all kinds of different options for you. You can change the font, you can make the background a fun image. You've got lots of different options here. This is a great way to customize your presentation to your lecture material. So lots of different options here. I don't want to jump into every single option just because there's so many. Again, it'll be time consuming, but highly recommend you check that out and just kind of see the different options that you've got available there. So that's visual settings. Let's go ahead and talk about this button up here. Now, you all might be wondering, okay, well, I've seen the activity, I've been able to answer the activity, but how do I do that for my students? How do I make it live? Well, at Poll Everywhere, we call that activating your activity. So activating my activity makes my poll live. It makes it available to participants to be able to respond. So there's two ways to activate your activity. So I can click this activate button, or I can also click present, which will take me into a full screen. And either way, it will help you activate your activity. Now, if I activate it and I need to quickly deactivate it, just click on it again. And now it's closed to you all. You can't answer at the moment. But that's just very important to know. That's how your activity is going to work. You're going to activate it to make it live for your students to be able to answer. And we'll go over that with PowerPoint too. It's really cool actually how it works with PowerPoint. So we'll go over that too. But I just wanted to make sure I explain that so you all get an understanding of that. Now I will talk about this configure panel here real quick too. So we have a lot of different options here. Now this is where you're going to be able to control who can you respond to your activities, how they participate. And as I said, depending on your plan, you might also be able to enable some moderation features too. So yeah, just check your plan to see what you've got for that. But lots of different options here that you can click into and you can explore that. Again, I know it's good. I want to go through each thing, but just want to make sure I get you all the full view. So I won't go into each item, but highly recommend you check that out. Lots of different options for you there. Now, I mentioned this a little bit ago, but let's talk about this in a deeper dive. So this bar down here is called my presentation controls bar. Now, here from the left here, you've got these two carrots. So that's just going to help me toggle between my different activities. So I'm still in that August 24th folder. All these activities that we've created together are still in this folder. So this just enables me to be able to go back and forth between all of these activities. And you can also do that just by clicking into the activities dashboard. But if you don't want to go back and forth, if you'd rather stay in this view, we've got that option for you here. Now let's talk about this button here. So this is especially important for you all educators here today. So this is the lock and unlock button. So when you click this button, it will lock your activity, which prevents anybody from responding until you're ready. So you might be wondering, well, what's the difference between that and activation? Well, activating the activity, you're making it live, okay? But when you lock the activity and when you deactivate it, it's taking it down. So you all might have seen when I flipped activities that the screen, there was no screen for you all to be able to enter anything anymore. Well, locking the activity keeps those responses up there. It keeps the activity up there. It just prevents people from putting responses in. So it's a great option. Maybe you've posed a question to your students and you want to now talk about the responses that were just collected. If you don't want any more responses coming in, you can click that lock button and lock the poll. And then just to unlock it, simply just click on it again. That will unlock it. Very easy to toggle back and forth, but just wanted to make sure I made a note of that for you all. Let's also talk about this too. So you might be collecting responses and maybe you don't want your students to be influenced by other responses that are coming in. Well, we've got this instructions and responses toggle. So if you are presenting your activity and you just want to make sure that students are just kind of seeing the instructions on how to view, you don't want them seeing other responses that have come in, you can toggle over to the instructions and hide the incoming responses. Now, when you're ready to show the responses, just simply click on that responses toggle and that will take you over there. Last but not least, let's talk about clear responses. So maybe you want to reuse this activity. You can use the clear responses button. That'll just clear out the activity, clear out all the responses that you've collected. Yeah, pretty straightforward. But with that, let's go ahead and dive in. So I talked about activating my activity. However, there's two ways to do that. You can either click activate, or from the web browser view, you can click present. It takes me to full screen. And now you all should be able to answer this question in one word. What is your favorite color? All right, perfect. I'm seeing some responses come in here. Now, while I'm letting these responses come in, I'm going to talk about something. So the presentation controls bar, that does not just disappear into oblivion. So that will populate for you anytime you bring your mouse down here. So you always have those options available for you. Just when you toggle your mouse up here, you will see it disappear after a while. See, it just disappeared. But if you need it again, feel free to jump back down there. And as I mentioned, you got that instructions view. So if I don't want the students' answers being influenced by other students' responses, you can easily toggle back and forth. Perfect. So, and it looks like multiple people put in the words blue, green, and red. So as you can see, those grew in size. That's awesome. Yeah, thank you all for helping me exemplify that again. Also, I'll give everybody a couple more moments here. But yeah, just so many different options for you to be able to engage with your students. Yeah, honestly, I wish I had had poll everywhere when I was in school. So, and you'll see here, so I mentioned our QR code that is available here too. So your students can either answer by the pollev.com/webinar, or they can also easily scan that that QR code to get to your activity. All right, perfect. Well, I think that's probably about all the responses that we're going to get. So yeah, thank you all for participating, but let's go ahead and jump over to our next activity. So we'll click on that caret. So I'm in my activity set. So now I would love to know, what are you most looking forward to this semester? Just give everybody a couple of moments here. And this is our Q&A activity. So I'm going to let some responses come in. I see lunch. That's a great answer. Yeah, definitely. Definitely understand that. Recess. Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk about these different views here. So you'll see here, so this is our Q&A. So we've got, so you all have, the participants have the option to upvote or downvote each other's responses. So again, this is great for truly a Q&A use case. Maybe you're trying to understand what are the hot topics, what are the things that students want to know the most. You can always gauge that by the upvote. So you can see here that this got upvoted. Yep, lunch got upvoted twice there. So it's moving up each time it gets upvoted. Another thing I want to talk about while we're here too, we have this little star icon. You might be wondering what that is. So this is called our spotlight view. So I know sometimes when these questions are up on a on a big screen, maybe you want to make it nice and big so everybody in the room can see it. So when you click on that little star, it opens our spotlight view. And here you can easily go through all of your different questions by clicking on this little caret here. Now, another thing too, again, if you're using this actually for a use case, let's say this was a repeat question, this friend's here. Well, if I've already answered that question, I can click this check mark and that will make that answer disappear. So if you're actually going through a Q&A and you're getting some of the same questions and you've already answered it and want to move on, you can use that check mark to go through that. So lots of different options. Yeah, these are great. So sounds like you got some some fun stuff coming up, vacation. Yeah, hopefully you have some safe travels. That's awesome. But yeah, lots of different options with Q&A. And I know we'll go over our Q&A at the end too. But let's go ahead and jump over to our next activity. So I would love for you all to find the camouflaged animal. Now I'm showing my regions here. Now, let's say this was an actual pop quiz, so I should have probably gone and toggled. That's okay. Let's say this was an actual diagram that you're presenting to your students, and you're giving them a few moments to put in their responses. If you don't want the responses to show up, you've got your different options here. So you've got image, it's just showing the image. It's currently hiding your all's responses. If I want to show responses, I've got the responses. And now because I have correctness indicated, I also have regions here too. Let me see here. Oh, let me show off. There we go. Yeah, sure. Sorry. Got just thrown off there for a second. So yeah, thank you for whoever just clicked that too. So let's say this was an actual pop quiz. So this is one of our new features or accessibility improvements that we just made too. So as you can see, we are indicating correctness by the check marks and the X's. We used to just solely rely on the color of these pin markers, but we did want accessibility is very important to us here at Poll Everywhere. And thanks to some awesome feedback, we were able to make this change and make these activities a little more accessible. So when this is an actual pop quiz, you can see show all, and that will show the correctness. So maybe you just want to show the responses. If you want to just show the regions. Now, if I had multiple regions, you see here how it's tallied up that 6 people have clicked on the fox here. If this were an image where I needed multiple regions, maybe you're asking for like an opinion or something like that, it will go ahead and toggle for you. So that's what that regions is showing. And that's what that option is doing. Now, if I want to show correctness, I do show all. So, and I still have it clear options too. And if I want to close this poll down, I can click lock. Now, as you can see, there's no more, you do not have the option to put any responses in, but just wanted to go ahead and exemplify that for you all. All right, with that, I think that's about everything for clickable image. So yeah, thank you all for, and thank you for those two who clicked outside the box to help indicate or help show the correctness feature too. I really appreciate that. So yeah, hopefully this is sparking some use cases for y'all, but yeah, very excited to see what you all are able to accomplish coming out of this webinar. But with that, I am going to jump over. Now I talked about my Q&A, my pinned Q&A. So, and I said, I'm going to show you all how to set up your own Q&A. Now this only works for Q&A. I just want to make that clear, but here's my Q&A that I created before our session today. So if I want to make sure, let's just say I'm starting from scratch and I want to set my pinned Q&A. me go back, make sure I'm not going too fast here. So I'm on my activities dashboard. I'm going to go to settings where it says pinned Q&A, or excuse me, I think it's pinned activity, excuse me. Here, I'm going to click the, oh my goodness, sorry. So pinned activity, we're going to go to settings. And if I were going to change this, I would click change. I have this already set to our Q&A here. I want to make sure I don't get that confused. So I'm not going to click into that, but you select your Q&A activity that you want to pin. You click change. Once you have the correct activity selected, make sure you go down to save. I can't tell you how many times I've forgotten to do that. So just make sure after you've indicated which Q&A you want to make your pinned Q&A, scroll down to save and just click save, and it will make sure to save that pinned Q&A for you. So I'll just go through that one more time. So in my activities dashboard, it's going to give me this option up here for pinned activity. Go into settings, indicate your Q&A that you want to set as the pinned Q&A. Click save, and you're all good to go. Then you've got your pinned Q&A. Wanted to make sure I went through that for you all because it's just such a great use case, especially for education. It's really awesome to be able to leave that up for your students. Now, let's go ahead and we're going to dive into the PowerPoint view. I've gone through the web browser. I started out in Google Slides, but I want to make sure I give you all a view of the PowerPoint view as well and how Poll Everywhere works with PowerPoint. Now, at Poll Everywhere, we work where you work. So you can add activities to PowerPoint, Keynote, Google Slides. Obviously, I'm going to jump into the PowerPoint integration for this portion of the session. But let's talk about one other thing too before I actually get into the inserting of activities. Now, I am on a Mac, so if you are using a Windows, this will look slightly different, but don't worry, it won't be too different. So on a Mac, when you are using Poll Everywhere, you will have the Poll Everywhere app downloaded, and that looks like this. So it will pop up, and I am going to go ahead and jump down to here. So to insert activities, I'm going to be using this Poll Everywhere Presenter app. Now, if I were using a Windows computer, it would just show when I download the Poll Everywhere for Windows integration, it's just going to show up here in the ribbon. So it'll be very similar. It's not going to be an app if you're on Windows. So don't worry. And I'll show you how it works on Google Slides too. It's pretty similar to the Windows view for PowerPoint. So I'll make sure to go through that as well. But for now, let's go ahead and insert our activities that we haven't presented yet. Now I'm in my presenter app. I'm logged into my webinar account here. So I'm going to go into and find our folders. As you can see here, it's the same view as my activities dashboard. All of my folders are still available here. So let's go ahead and insert the two activities that we have not demonstrated yet. So these are the two activities that I wanted to insert into my slideshow. So I'm on slide 7. I'm going to check mark these to indicate that those are the ones I want to insert. And then I'm going to click this insert slides. All right. So I was on slide 7 when I clicked insert slides. Those inserted in slides 8 and slides 9. Okay. So let's go ahead. We'll present our PowerPoint. Now, I talked about activation earlier too, and I said I will let y'all know how to activate an activity on PowerPoint. Now, when you're in a PowerPoint presentation and you've got activity slides inserted, to activate your activate your activity, you're just going to simply toggle like you normally would to another PowerPoint slide, and then it will activate. So it's very easy to activate. It activates automatically for you. So yeah, no worries. You can just focus on presenting to your students. You don't need to worry about activation and all that stuff. So I'd love to know, what does classroom engagement mean to you? And I'll just do that one more time. So I'm going to toggle back over. Oops, my computer's waking up. There we go. What does classroom engagement mean to you? And again, you're going to answer this the same way that you answered the other activities. Just go to pollev.com/webinar, or you can use our QR code too. There we go. We'll get some answers in. So this is our open-ended activity. So I'm seeing productivity. Students are active, even if that means up. Discussion. Absolutely. Yeah, these are all great answers. And you'll see that little star is still there. So you still have that spotlight view. So if you're going through some different answers and you want to kind of highlight it, make sure that's the prominent answer. You still have that spotlight view there. Just click on that star and then unclick on it to turn off spotlight view. And as you can see, as more answers are coming in, you can see them kind of disappearing down here. They do not disappear into oblivion, don't worry. You just need to scroll down on your mouse and they will still be down there. So don't worry, they don't disappear. And also too, you can see here, my presenter controls bar, it's still available for me on PowerPoint. Wherever you're presenting your activity, this bar will be available for you with those controls. One thing I forgot to mention too, I know a lot of people like to put notes in their activity slides or on their, excuse me, on their just their slide notes. With Poll Everywhere, you do not want to, with any of the slides that have an activity inserted, it's very important that you do not alter the notes on that slide. It will mess with the functionality of the poll. So it's just those slides. If you want to put notes in on the other slides that do not have a Poll Everywhere activity inserted, that's totally fine. Just make sure not to alter the speaker notes on these activities. All right, perfect. Yes, students are active in their own learning. Yes, I love that. Yes, Poll Everywhere is all about active learning. It gives everybody in the room a voice. It's inclusive. Absolutely. Focused on the task, not easily distracted. Yeah, definitely. And using these different activity types in your presentation kind of help change up the lecture. It's different every time, helping them with that active learning. All right, perfect. These were great. Well, yeah, thank you all so much for submitting these answers. These are awesome. I am going to keep moving, so I want to make sure we have enough time for that Q&A too. But let's go ahead. We'll do our last activity here. This is our ranking. So I'd love to know, this is just going to be a fun question, but what are your favorite beverages? Oh, I'm seeing hot chocolate winning. Okay. And I just have to say today is especially a special day because I saw that today is the first day of the pumpkin drinks at Starbucks. So I absolutely love fall. So the pumpkin drinks are just right up my alley. So not sure if anybody was lucky enough to get over there and get either that or maybe just a good cup of coffee too. But yeah, just had to say that. Love those pumpkin drinks they come out with every year. I wish they could keep some of them year round, but sadly we can't. All right, so I'm seeing hot coffee. This is great. Yeah, hot tea. So as you can see, as you all are ranking these, you can see that this is reacting live. So that's one really cool. This really helps reach a consensus, especially if you have a big group, a big class, and you kind of want to get everybody on the same page. This is a great option for that. Maybe you want to kind of give students an option for like which in-class activity they want to participate in. A lot of different options here. One other important thing I want to note with rankings too. So this is one of our other activity types that can be presented both synchronously and asynchronously. You can actually email rankings out to your students. So they can, and if you want to give them a little bit more time to rank things, maybe giving them a couple of days, you can email these out to your students and you can still get the results. So this is one of our only activity types. This and the pinned Q&A and survey are some of our only activity types that are able to do that. So love that option. All right, perfect. Well, it looks like hot coffee's winning. Like I said, can't blame you. I know you all probably have some busy schedules, and like I said, a good cup of coffee helps get my day going too. So, totally feel that. That's awesome. Well, yeah, just wanted to do a fun question for this, but again, yeah, just lots of different use cases for the classroom. So I'm very excited to see what y'all are able to do out of this. So with that, I'm going to jump back over to my Google Slides because I did mention that I'm going to show you all how I just wanted to just kind of give you a view too. So if you're looking at Google Slides and you want to insert an activity in Google Slides, so once you have the Google Slides integration downloaded, and I'll give you all the information on where to download all these apps. I know I've mentioned a lot of different apps. Once you have that integration downloaded, it will show up on your Google Slides bar here. So you'll be able to click on Poll Everywhere and you can insert activities into your slide deck. Works very similar to how PowerPoint just worked. And I mentioned too, those of you who are using Windows and are going to be using PowerPoint, it'll show up in the ribbon kind of like this too. So that's why when I mentioned inserting the activities, this is kind of similar to how it's going to look. So hopefully that helps give you a little bit better of a view of what to expect. But like I said, definitely feel free to let me know if you have any questions. Drop some questions in the pinned Q&A. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and jump over to some resources and some other information I've got for you all. So at Poll Everywhere, security is our top priority and we take it very seriously. So as you can see here, we have multiple security certifications. These certifications are based on rigorous international standards and they mark our continued commitment to information security at every level. And they ensure the security of your data and information has been addressed, implemented, and properly controlled in all areas of our organization. So we take security and data privacy very seriously here at Poll Everywhere. Let's talk about our support options that we have. So I do want to cover some different resources. So if you head over to polleverywhere.com/support, there you will find an extensive library of detailed support articles that are designed to help you get the most out of the tool. So I did talk about how we weren't able to go for competitions and surveys live, but we do have some detailed support guides on both of those activity types and all of the activity types that we went over today, all at that awesome support center. I can't recommend this link enough. It really has the answer to everything. Definitely highly recommend that you check this support center out. We've got lots of great information on there. Let's also talk about our plans. So we have a variety of plans available to fit you and your organization's needs. So to learn more about each plan and what they offer, just visit polleverywhere.com/plans for more information on each of those. If you're not sure which one might work best for you, feel free to reach out to us. Our awesome staff can help kind of guide you through and walk you through to see what plan might work best for you and your organization. Now, I mentioned apps and integrations and all kinds of things. But I'd mention that because we work where you work. So we have a number of integrations to help you seamlessly engage with your participants and your students. So some of these include WebEx, PowerPoint, Google Slides, Microsoft Teams. Just this summer, we actually relaunched our Slack integration. So we got lots of different options for you to be able to seamlessly engage with your students. So definitely highly recommend checking out polleveryware.com/app to use any of the Google Slides or PowerPoint integrations that I used in today in the demo. Definitely make sure to go here, and we do have all the links for whether you are on Windows or Mac. It's all clearly outlined for you, so don't worry. Lots of different options for you. Highly recommend checking that out. And last but not least, we also have an awesome webinar library. We have a whole entire library of past webinars that are available to you to play anytime on demand. All you need to do to access those is visit our website at polleverywhere.com/webinars. Also, don't forget, I will be sending out a recording of today's session and a follow-up email. That email will most likely be coming to you tomorrow, but it will be the full recording of today's session, so don't worry. I also want to mention too, that email does come from me. It's not a robot. I am a real person. I exist, I promise. So you can reply to that email. If another question comes up after the session and you're not sure, definitely feel free to reply back to me. I love talking people through use cases and helping answer questions. So feel free to reach back out to me. So let's go ahead and jump into our Q&A. So this is our pinned Q&A. Let's see. I don't see any responses here, but I'll give everybody a few moments. So let me just make sure. I do want to make sure. So actually, it's good that this happened. So I want to go ahead. We'll go ahead and check to make sure, because I'm wondering if when I showed you all that pinned Q&A, if I maybe changed it here. Oh wait, maybe it just needed a second to wake up. Hold on. Let's see here. Oh, there we go. Okay, it's fine. It's working. Just wanted to make sure I had the right one inserted. So. Perfect. Is the Q&A always published for participants? I'm assuming you mean the pinned Q&A. So yes, when you have the pinned Q&A set and designated, it will always be up there. It's up there until you tell it not, make sure it's or reset it to something else. So yes, this pinned Q&A is always up there. Now the regular Q&A that we went through, that is different from the pinned Q&A. That'll only be available when you have the activity activated. But as long as you have that, and I'll jump over to my activities dashboard, as long as you have that pinned Q&A set, it will be available. Yep. Hopefully that helps answer your question, but let me know if you have a follow-up. Right. Oh, none. Thank you. That's awesome. Glad to hear it. Well, glad to hear, but definitely, like I said, feel free to email me or reach out when you get that follow-up email if a question does come up. So what does the free version allow you to do? So yeah, so I can give a little bit of information. So you can have up to 25 participants on the free version. If you're not 100% sure what plan works best for you, we have our staff is happy to help walk you through any plans. If you're kind of questioning plans or I'm just questioning that, yeah, definitely feel free to reach out to our staff. We're happy to help walk you through all of the plans that we have available. But yeah, basically the main thing you need to know for the free version, there are some other features that are not available, like got moderation. That's only available on certain plans. Sorry, I'm just trying to think. I know we've got teams and shared activities. Sometimes that's only available on certain plans. But primarily the free version will allow you to have up to 25 participants per activity. So that's the primary thing to keep in mind there. Are pinned activities available for all account types? Yeah, so they should be available. I hope I'm understanding this correctly, but definitely let me know if you have a follow-up. So pinned activities are available for all account types. Now, it is important to note that pinned activities, so it's really only applies to pinned Q&As. At this time, we just do Q&As for the pinned activity. But yeah, any account level that you're at, you should be able to still use pinned Q&As. Yeah, that's a great question. It looks like the activate feature works quickly. Do you find most users create activities in advance versus ad hoc during presentations? Yeah, that's a great question. So typically, I recommend really doing your activities beforehand. Now, if you just think of a question real quick and for sure you want to add it to your lecture, absolutely, you can go ahead and create it and present it because just as you said, yeah, that activation feature does work very quickly. But yeah, typically if you're planning like a lecture or full-on class, I would recommend making them ahead of time, especially too if you're going to be using like PowerPoint or Google Slides and not using the web browser view. I would recommend creating them ahead of time just so you have them ready and you don't have to spend time in class inserting those activities. But yeah, you absolutely both options are available to you. So yeah, whatever works best for you. Typically though, I do recommend doing them in advance, but just depends on what works best for you. Great question. Thank you for asking that. All right, perfect. I'll leave this up for just a few more moments. Definitely let me know if you have any other questions. Again, that survey and follow-up email will be coming to you probably in an email tomorrow, most likely. So don't worry if you don't see that come through today. But that is my email. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any follow-up questions or just need some help, maybe some guidance around use cases. That's honestly one of my favorite parts of my role here is walking people through use cases. So I'll leave this up for just a few more moments if any other questions come in. But hopefully you all enjoyed this session today. As I said, I really love this session. It helps give people a starting point with Poll Everywhere. I know it might seem a little overwhelming at first, but once you really dive into the tool and are able to see how it all works and all the different features we have, it's just really incredible to see the amount of engagement, participation, and really just see the increase, how student comprehension goes up too with Poll Everywhere. Lots of different options. Very, very excited to see what you all are able to accomplish out of this session. All right, perfect. I'm not seeing any other responses come through. I'm going to assume that means there's no more questions. But again, like I said, that email will be coming tomorrow. So that is my email. Feel free to reach out if you have any follow-up questions. But yeah, hopefully you all enjoyed the session today. As a reminder, just don't forget to fill out that survey. I do actually look at the responses that we get on that survey. They don't disappear into oblivion. That feedback really helps me structure these sessions and make sure that you all get the most out of these sessions. So definitely, please do fill out that survey if you have a chance. I'd love to know your feedback. If there's something that I wasn't able to demo that you'd like to see, let me know. Or if there's something you really liked, again, let me know. I'd love to hear your feedback. So hope you all enjoyed this session. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Good luck this semester. I know it's the start of the school season, so I know you all are going to do awesome, and your students are going to be engaged and just amazed at the different things you're able to accomplish with Poll Everywhere. So very much looking forward to that. Thank you all so much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and take care. Thank you.